So in the parking brake there are 4 bolts. 1, 2 on the inside here that bolt this assembly to the bottom assembly to the tub. There are also 3 screws that bolt that little the cable that goes through the tub down. And then there are 2 bolts on top. So there are the 2 for the frame, and then there are the 2 that bolt the actual handle to the top of the frame. There's also a pin that pushes through that connects to the cable. And there is an electrical wire here that I believe sets off the parking brake light. So I'm going to try and get the C-clip on, and I should be done with the parking brake other than the adjustment. Got it. Time's up. Pen's down. I think next, I did still need to get into all the dash, but I think next, because I've got them out because I was verifying what bolts I have and what I don't, I'm going to put the seat belts in next, I think. Now, my seat belt, the roll bar on the old one was rusted out on the driver's side so bad I wasn't able to recover it. So I was able to purchase some used ones off of eBay. The guy was also selling on Facebook. Picked those up. They look to be in pretty darn good shape without the rust that I had before. So, looking forward to getting these bolted in. A little safer than before. Okay, still need to run the wiring harness through the roll bar, but I figured out I'm going to have to cut the wires to do that because these wiring connectors are actually too large to go in the hole here. They'd come out the top alright, but unless I wanted to come up here and go in behind these, I don't see any other way to get up there really. I don't think there are any other holes large enough. No, I don't think there are. And I don't want to cut a hole in the roll bar. These things are actually sport bars, not roll bars as it is. They're already a little too weak. And so I'd rather just keep what stability, what strength in it I have. Eventually I'd like to build out the roll bar a little more, make it a real roll bar. But in the meantime, working with what I got. I believe these are T50, but I'm going to go grab one and double check that. Now this is the seatbelt slider. So it's got the little push button thing. Push it in, you can slide the seatbelt down. I always keep mine at the top. I think Jen always keeps hers at the top. But it's here, so I'm going to keep it. Now it's been a while since I've taken these out, so I don't remember if I had to wait to crank these down until I had the next piece on or not. But I guess I'll find that out here shortly. I'm going to try and finish up this side before I start with the other side, because if there's something that I have to take back off here, I don't want to have to do it twice. So I'll figure it out on one and then go to the other. Okay, the next steps are going to be putting on this part. You can also put on the bottom part first and pull up to it. I think I'm going to put on the top first and pull down to it. But before putting on the actual seatbelt part, you've got this plastic here. Now this plastic fits a lot better if you've actually got the roll bar covers on. Honestly, I think it looks kind of ridiculous without the roll bar cover, but I don't want that just sticking out either. So it just pushes on like so. We just gotta line everything up. Maybe someday I'll fabricate something up that'll cover this a little more clean looking and not look so ridiculous without the roll bar covers. But for now I'm going to have this side in here, and that'll provide a little extra cushion too if we ever bump our heads on the roll bar. Now when you peel, there's this plastic cover on here. When you peel that up from the bottom. On the top it's got it's connected by plastic, and if you peel it from the top, it'll break it off and it'll never seal right again. So I lost my little gasket. When you put this bolt together, bolt goes through the seat belt, and then it's got this steel spacer. and then it goes into the slider assembly. So I'm going to start it by hand, get a few cranks on that just so I don't cross-thread it, and you should typically with any bolt if you can. And then start cranking this down. And then I'll need to go online quick and look at verifying my torque for all of these. So I got it kind of hand tight there. Then I'll look that up, and I'll try to remember to put the torque spec in the video right here. 35 foot-pounds. I believe that is 47 Newton meters if you're trying to do this metric. Torqued. And that goes for these bolts, the actual seatbelt bolt, and the retractor bolt at the bottom. So 35 foot-pounds. Got it? Cool. Next step would be the actual assembly here. And this, on the back, you'll see it has this little, see if I can show you. It's got that little tooth there. Okay, so the tooth thing slides into here, and then it slides down. And once it slides down, this bolt hole will line up, and you can put your bolt through. And then the male side of your seatbelt is complete. So let's get that done. And so we have a functioning seatbelt. I'm going to knock the other one out quick, and then we'll move on to the next step. I'll be honest, people, this here is the part that taking it apart and putting it together both scared the crap out of me, because I've never pulled a steering wheel before. I know in here somewhere there's a clock spring that if you screw that up, you screw up a lot of systems in the vehicle. So I don't want to do that. And actually, when I was trying to separate the or the steering shaft, because there's actually like a mid, a lower, and an upper, lower, mid, and upper. When I was trying to separate that, I was having trouble getting it apart just because they had rusted together for so long, but I didn't know if maybe I was doing something wrong and I was about to destroy something. And I have looked up some of these steering shafts, and they're in the hundreds of dollars, so I do not want to destroy anything. I'm hoping today I can get this back into place at a reasonable reliability without breaking anything. So, here we go. You will either see me succeed at something and be very happy, or you will see me very soon severely regretting an action. I think I've got wiring harnesses out of the way-ish. This one is actually, all of those are actually for the steering column, but I think I'm going to slide them down and out of the way for now, just so I don't accidentally pinch a wire. So there's a hole in the firewall there, and there's a rubber gasket on the steering shaft, and that'll go in the hole to seal out any engine heat or winter cold or anything of that sort. On the other side, I'll show you that in a little bit, but first let's try and get this through here and try and get some stuff bolted on. Okay, so I've got here my 13mm wrench. I may need to grab an extension for that. I did not. Not sure if I'll need it or not. I'll let you know. Also got one Phillips head, which not sure yet if that is going to come into play yet, or when I start putting all the shrouds on, the plastic and stuff. And there are two 13mm bolts that go right up on the bottom side here of the tub. And then there are two more that go in straight back in. They're bolts sticking out of the tub this way. So basically there are 4 bolts that hold this whole assembly in. And then there is 1 bolt. So I got 4 nuts here. Bolts are in the tub. And then there's 1 bolt where the intermediate steering shaft meets the lower steering shaft. And that is also a 13 millimeter. So as far as nuts and bolts go, 13 millimeter across the board here. Let's try and see if we can slide it in. Dump these out. Got two nuts back here. I can't get it in far enough yet to get the two that are vertical, but I'm going to just start threading these on just so I don't lose it when I'm on the other side trying to line up the steering shaft. So I'm headed in there. Looks like I am going to need that extension. I also switched to a deep well because they are nuts on bolts, and sometimes when the bolt starts to tighten, nut starts to tighten down on the bolt sticks through and your socket won't settle on anymore. So that's kind of basic, you know. The regular well sockets are good for bolts. The deep well are much better for nuts, unless you know that the nuts don't have to go too far on. And I think for the two that are on this way, I think I need to get rid of the extension because I need to get up under the dash. I take that back. I need a much longer extension because I need to get out of the dash. Okay, I'm going to take a break on the video here for a minute to go online and check the Extreme Terrain website. Hopefully they have it because their torque chart seems to be the most comprehensive I've found. And if they don't have it, I'll look elsewhere. But I'm going to try and find torque settings for these for nuts as well as for the bolt on the steering shaft. Actually, before I do that, let me show you what's going on under the hood. So when I talk about the bolt, this is the bolt I'm talking about. Now I'll show you right down in here. I am having trouble finding it on camera. Right down, you see that U-joint right there. Right to there. That whole U-joint, the way I took it off, it went with the steering shaft. And then the, I don't know what that bearing is called there that it rests in, but that lower shaft stayed with the Jeep. So I took that off. Now I've got a bolt to put through there, and then I need to find torque specs on that. It's not going to be a super fun one to get to. I'm probably going to need every extension I've got. I think when I took it out, I already had like this brake cylinder and such off of the fender, and so it was easier to get to. Now I've put all that stuff back on, and they're kind of in the way. And there I'm at 17. I'm going to lock down my torque wrench, these first two on the top here. The steering wheel's kind of in the way a little bit, and I believe it's already tilted up, so no help there. Okay, steering wheel is in. Now it's got a little bit of a right turn. The front wheels actually do as well. Now it is straight, and the front wheels look fairly close to straight. There does appear to be that steering shaft isn't round, it's got a flat spot, so it should set into the same spot. So I may have to readjust the drag link on this to get my my steering correct. But I had it straight before. I think I got it straight on the XJ, on the Cherokee. I redid the front end on that one. Honestly, now that I think about it, I've never done an alignment on this vehicle myself. On this Jeep, I had a shop do it that I totally trust, but I've also wheeled the poop out of this, so I might have bent something. So once I get it driving, I'll see how the steering wheel rests, if straight is straight. If straight is actually turning right just a little bit, like it looks like it might be, and then I'll probably get under there and adjust the drag link. But for now, I just got to get that bolt in there and get it cranked down. And if that isn't enough extensions to reach it, well, then I'm SOL, because I don't have any more. I think that should reach. I think that should be plenty. It might actually be too much since I can't really flip the hood back. Usually when I'm working outside with the Jeep, I just flip the hood right back on the windshield frame. In here, the ceiling is too low. It hits. Steering is almost complete. I should have this thing driving in no time. So this pile of bolts belongs up there. I'm working on putting the dash in now. Back down here, you got on the right there, you got a light assembly. There are two of those. One is actually still connected to the wiring harness on the driver's side but doesn't have a bulb. This one goes on the passenger side. I'm not sure what that bracket is. I think it's in my notes, so I'll have to look. Those three there with the rubber covers have very specific places. I think they actually stick down, and the rubber covers are just so you don't accidentally scrape yourself. These 5 over here should be 6. I believe those are the ones that go along the edge right up here to hold the whole thing in place. Those are pretty big holes, so they have to be these ones with the big washers, like so. The rest are all identical. Now I know for a fact that I'm missing a few. From my notes, I remember missing at least 1 or 2 on the grab handle. I can see there's one of the big washer heads missing. I know I'm missing a few. And I've got 54 screws here. I've got some work ahead of me. It's coming together. Sorry I have not gotten a lot of video of this. A lot of this, like I said, there were 50-some screws, some wiring harnesses to put in, and it's just been a matter of putting it all together. So right now I've got the glove compartment done, the airbag done, the center or the gauge cluster is in. All of the plastic surrounds are good. The wiring harness to the HVAC controls, heating and ventilation controls, I guess, since I don't have AC. Those are in. There is actually off of this one that controls the ventilation selectors. There's actually a bunch of vacuum lines that go out of that and go over to a connector right up about here. And that connector splits off several lines, two over here-ish to what I believe are the upper vents, if I remember right, for like the windshield. Two down here that select like the floor, and two more over here that select, I don't remember which ones are which, but there are two over here, two vacuum lines each. One over here with two vacuum line, and then a vacuum line goes through the firewall right with the through the heater core hoses, and so there's that. I plugged that in, and I'm going to get another bag of goodies and start assembling this whole section. See you soon. Getting closer. But I've still got to get the ARB switches connected. There are, I think, 20 different plugs there, and each one of them is labeled. The ones that weren't labeled from the factory, I labeled with color codes and stuff, and drew out a map in my notes. So I've got to get that together. You can see down here is the plate with all three switches, and then that is the steering column plastic for up here, and so that's got to go on as well. But I'm getting closer to done there. Then I've got to get those ones with the big washers were not actually for over here and over here. They were actually for the bottom of the airbag. So there were actually 5, and there were supposed to be 5, so I've still got to find the bag that has those bigger bolts for the side. But then I think my dash will be done. I've still got you can see a red wire hanging down here that goes to my CB. When that was installed, it was installed spliced right into my 12 volt power and ran all the way up to the CB, and I never did find a quick disconnect, so I cut those wires. So I'm going to have to splice those back together, but other than that, once I do, I'll be able to run them back up through here behind the plastic and across, and the CB actually mounts right up there. So I've got the CB out here as well. I'm almost ready to start installing the center console and the seats in here, guys. Well, y'all, I think that's it for the day. I might be able to get another little bit in tonight, but most likely not. I think that might be it. But my dashboard is in. Everything is hooked up. I am on to putting in that center console you see there, just waiting for a little paint to dry on a bit that was exposed because it wasn't covered by carpet now. I thought it'd be under the center console, turns out it's not. So spray painting that black a little bit, and aside from that, it's coming together. I'm looking forward to putting seats in. I'm looking forward to getting this thing running. It's getting close, guys. So, it's becoming a Jeep again. Thanks for watching, y'all. The Lord bless you and keep you.